Well, this is another part of that dynamic of energy that we say, how are you going to feel when you find out that you're actually facing the dynamics quite well, while others are crashing and burning all around you? We see that's the dynamic. You are intended, each of you in your own way, are intended to be a pillar of stability. But stability actually means the ability to be flexible and to adjust to the given situations. If you stop trying to control the dynamics of your future realities and realize that you're going to be challenged in ways that are perfect for you, in ways, you how many of you are beginning to see the synchronicities and the reflections of life that are almost miraculous in the levels of understanding, the levels of communication that you're having with your, even if it's just with yourself. It is part of the whole movement. It's part of the whole dynamic of moving more and more into a fifth dimensional experience. But it's not like there is, to shift an energy of a paradigm requires quite a bit. And if you are objective enough to be able to stand outside of this dynamic and observe it, you would realize that this is a energetically, this is huge. This is like the birth of a new galaxy in a way, because it's a birth of a new humanity. And that's what's going on, a birth of a new humanity that is forcing you to cooperate, forcing you to have connection, forcing you to have compassion, because that's the only way it's going to work.
Hmm.
It's only going to work when you realize, okay, when you realize that you're all one. Go ahead, Sue.
I think right now that we are in the "Are you sure" moments.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
That we're not being hit with tomorrow. Well, we're going to come up with "Are you sure" moments. We are in the middle of the "Are you sure" moments
Sure.
now.
But we can
That's
trace the "Are you sure" moments back to the change of the millennium and before. You see,
yes,
all of these "Are you sure" moments are based upon all of the choices that were made all the way back from the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, right up until now. This is a result of all of those dynamics and all of those "Are you sures" that have been answered in an
yes,
unconscious way.
yes. Now,
Now you're
uh,
being given the opportunity to deal with the "Are you sures" consciously.
yes. And people are actually seeing more and more of they're looking around and they're actually realizing, is this, and asking themselves, is this really our reality?
Well, or the realization is how fragile and
Yeah,
how damaged and how unstable the reality that you all have been relying upon actually is.
yes,
So all of a sudden you realize that you're in danger. What you had uh, previously perceived as a solid structure is anything but.
yes. It's being destroyed. It's being destroyed.
Well,
And
and it's
got to
been,
come up.
but this isn't the new thing. That's
No,
all. That's what we're trying to tell you. But
no, it's not.
this is the culmination. But we would
Yes,
have you look at the whole thing more holistically. Take it back to the year 2000. Take it back to all the changes. Take it back to 9/11. Take it back to Iraq and the bullshit around Iraq, and take it, but and you look at all of that stuff that led up to that. the selection, the election in 2000 that put Bush in charge, the fact that 9/11 happened on his watch, and the dynamic of, so you had his reaction to that dynamic that created the thing, and so they used the opportunity to demonize Iraq, when Iraq really had very little or nothing to do with 9/11, and so they started a war, and burn pits, and clash of civilizations between between the East and the West, and then the tsunami, which is like a reflection from the divine that said, you in the middle of, because remember where the fracture was, the earthquake that happened, it was in the middle of the Indian Ocean, it was in the middle of Asia and the Middle East, or Europe and the Middle East. It was a fault line, and that fault line between East and West gave way, and in the dynamic of that movement, that setting, letting go, there was the whole dynamic of that tsunami where 250,000 people left in an hour. And so there was a realization that if you really understood it at that time, you would look at it and say, oh my God, this is a reflection of the metaphysical, of the divine in the physical reality. That is a big message. Did anybody actually get it? And it was really only a very small minority of people that actually got it. And so, there has been a whole series of Are You Sures that have happened since then. Just in our short, if you read our last book, What Could God Be Thinking? And it takes it from when that stuff was, we wrote that right after and it happened within a couple of years after it happened. So there was that perspective that was being gained. So there's a whole dynamic of understanding, the realization that there's a third level of energy that's happening here, and that is the dynamic of the movement from the divine. And that's where, as we said a little earlier, that's where the greater dance of co-creation, that you are involved in a collective dance with each other, with growth, with the divine, with Mother Nature.
Yes, more and more people are getting back to Mother Nature,
Yeah,
getting back
but
to
you
that's
have to.
starts.
What's the
Yes,
one skill that you all have or could gain? Growing shit.
growing shit. Yep, growing gardens, self-survival, really self-survival is what it comes down to.
Yep, yep, yep. And you're not going to have to worry about obesity much in your world anymore. So that's a whole other thing. No, because there's just not going to be the availability of meat that there used to be. And that's interesting for all you meat eaters. Right.